Hello, 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 hello. It is Wednesday, September the 11th. I'm not going to be talking about that stuff today, by the way. 18 years since the bombing. I'm not going into it all. No. I'm not interested. But I'm not going to talk about plenty of other things, though. Of course I am. Of course I am. And once again, I've got far more than I could possibly cover. So let's see how this goes. Oh! That reminds me, though, before we get started, there's going to be the pinned comment or our comment, and in the description I'll put time codes for each thing. So if you want to find something in particular, it's there. If you go on this video or any of these daily videos and there's no time code there, get on my case about it. Get on my bloody case about it. So there'll be a little time code. You can just skip straight to that story if you would like. But first up, we've got James OBrien, and I love this story, man. I really like this one. Oh wait, let me just tilt that down a little bit so I'm not. There we go. Douglas Murray. I love Douglas Murray. He's very attractive. He's intelligent, witty, eloquent, and he's gay. And you know, with all these things combined, he could do very well amongst a certain group of people, you sort of intersectional bigots and all that. He's white, you know, but we're not going to hold that against him, are we, in the long run? As long as he sings the right tune. But he doesn't sing the right tune. He speaks his mind. He put out The Strange Death of Europe, which is right there on the shelf. I've not read it yet. I promised myself I would. Because, you know, in terms of immigration, I think immigration's a good thing. Of course it is. It's a fantastic thing, especially if we've got gaps. We still haven't recovered from World War II. We haven't. I don't think the world has, really, in terms of lineages of knowledge being passed on, you know, father to son, apprentice and all that. And we never quite got over it. We're all pointing our fingers at the government for retraining, whereas we used to all teach each other. But that's another thing. But in terms of the immigration argument and that side of things, I did buy his book to read it, but I haven't done yet. So, apologise. It's second on my list. After The Coddling of the American Mind, when I finally bloody finish it. The problem I have with books is they'll reference a concept, they'll reference an idea, they'll reference another article, another book, and then I have to go and bloody read that, or at least find out about it, because I want to know what they're talking about before I carry on. And even though The Coddling of the American Mind is written very well and very easy to read and all the rest of it, I just get lost in the weeds. That's the thing with this paradox of intolerance video I'm trying to put together. It involves Plato and Marx and so many high concepts, and the thought of someone sharing a bloody meme and that being the answer. Oh, because the problem is these things aren't answers. They were written as questions. But anyway, I'm getting divergent. James OBrien, this is the article here, and the Carl Beach Witch Hunt. This is an article he did in The Spectator on the 7th of September, and I highly recommend you go and read it. For anyone who doesn't know, Carl Beach, as it says here, the convicted liar, fraudster, and paedophile who made unfounded claims against numerous public figures and was sentenced in July to 18 years in prison. If you don't know, and we joked about this on the show. Well, I mean, we joked about it. We didn't make any direct accusations at anyone, but he came out and said a load of MPs were kiddie fiddling. And he said that there was all these, you know, they were being murdered and all this other stuff. Now, it came out as false. You know, we all wanted to believe it because it kind of fit in with that thing, didn't it? Of like, you know, oh, the people in power, blah blah blah, you know, and all that nonsense. It fit in with it, and we all kind of just took it at face value. And then it turned out it was all a big bag of nonsense, and rightly so. Several lives were destroyed. The wife of one of these men, Lord Bramall, went to her grave without knowing that her husband would be fully vindicated. Can you imagine? And his accuser imprisoned. Can you imagine your significant other dying with accusations of mass child rape hanging over them? Can you imagine that? With smug fools like this man here, the High Lord of the straw man argument here, just being ever so serious. And I'm just presenting facts, and I'm just asking questions, and I'm just trying to be logical. You know, how How has the EU affected you? Fuck off. Argues with idiots and sells book on the back of it. But what he also did is he was fundamental in spreading this lie. He was fundamental in spreading. They even said it. Carl Beech's press officer even said that James O'Brien was the man behind getting this out there. He had him on again and again and again. He said he's got no right whatsoever to say it, but he said when they had the disguised voice version of events, when he was talking about the rapes and stuff, he said this all seems credible and all that. Now he's not a journalist; he's an opinion guy. He's like me; he does opinion, and that's fine. But the problem with opinion is you got to be very, very careful when you're then breaking a story and presenting things as fact. You've got to be extremely careful about that stuff. I have only identified information I am talking about as being legitimate journalism a couple of times on this show. Literally. I can't think of more than 2 times. The last time I did it was talking about the NHS when they screwed the workers over the pay rises. And I did the research on that. And that was an opinion, that was fact. But everything else, this is my reaction. Here's a quote from him here. Our view is he's absolutely to be taken seriously. Yes, that's true. Despite the extraordinary things, this extraordinary story he tells, and that's our view. We obviously done a lot of work over many, many months, if you like. Due diligence. A due diligence exercise, and I can think I'm not revealing too much to say the police share our view. Well, that's not true, is it? That is not true, James O'Brien. And then there's quotes from the stories and all that, and this went over for years. David Cameron has agreed to open the records of Conservative whips office to let investigators hunt for evidence. This is all completely reasonable, but there is a public interest, isn't there? There is a public interest when you are talking about such serious abuses to not gossip about them necessarily as they are happening. This Zoe Quinn thing, I haven't covered it yet because it hasn't finished. I could sit here and say another one of her projects was failing, and isn't it miraculous that she... there's another controversy around her and a male relationship to distract everyone from it. But I'm not going to go into that too much. I've certainly got an opinion, but let's wait until more and more of her story has been disproved before we jump in on it. That's what you do if you're responsible. I mean, me, nobody listens to me. I've just got a small niche group of friends, and you know what? I love you to bits, but I haven't got James O'Brien numbers, and I never will. He doesn't even know I exist. So yeah, there is a certain amount of responsibility for this. And here is my question. Why can Alex Jones do these things? Sandy Hook, child actors, he was going off nonsense information, and then he's turned round, as James O'Brien did, and said, no, I made a mistake. Alex Jones said he has made a mistake for that. He has retracted it. James O'Brien spreads what is far worse a conspiracy theory, what is far worse of a lie, that has ruined the lives of several people, not just upset them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not playing down what Alex Jones did. What he did was very, very upsetting for those families. That was disgraceful. It was a mistake. One that I'm glad he's owned up to. I really am. But where's this nonsense here? He just wipes his hand of it. But this is worse to me. I don't think for a moment that he's actually going to get any blowback for this. That his army of adoring fans, I don't think they're going to give them the same treatment they give Alex Jones. I don't think there's going to be mass calls for deplatforming. And to be clear, I do not want him to be deplatformed. No. Under no circumstances. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. It's funny, isn't it, how it goes? If you're pro-EU, if you hate Jacob Rees-Mogg, then you can You can just, in fact, let me get the quote before we move on. In the case, this is the story, by the way, Douglas Murray. In any case, after Beach went to prison in July, O'Brien tweeted the following. Oh, so this is afterwards. After he had spread it over and over again. Hate the Carl Beach story. We gave his allegations against dead politicians a lot of coverage on the show, and it turns out he was BSing everyone. But from Rotherham to Westminster to the BBC, telling abuse survivors that they'll be believed still seems like the right thing to do. Yes, you deflecting piece of shit, James O'Brien. Yes, believe and verify. That's what you do. Of course you believe people. Look at him. They always do this. You can't discuss false allegations because someone will go, well, this will put people off. It'll put people off. Nonsense. What happens? What's the damage? If you're going to use that same logic, what's the damage of spreading a false allegation like this? I don't know. Absolute scum. Absolute scum. Disgraceful. I'm going to move on to the next story, but I'm going to do that at the end of the show, actually, because it's quite interesting, but I don't want to cover that just yet. No. We'll have to see how that goes towards the end. So, this is an interesting one. Police called in. This is the Independent. Police called in as protesting pupils and parents locked out of school over new, quote, gender-neutral uniforms. Gender-neutral uniforms. Can you guess what that means? Because for me, I'd guess that would mean like, sort of Asian-style fisherman pants, or, I don't know. Is it bell-bottoms? Like a cross between pants and a skirt? Who knows? Gender-neutral uniform. They've been protesting. The police have been called. If you get woke, you certainly go broke. Always. Let's have a little read. A school in East Sussex has been forced to lock its gates to angry pupils and parents protesting uniform rules in which pupils are sent home if they are wearing a skirt instead of gender-neutral trousers. Trousers aren't gender-neutral. If a woman wants to dress as a man for Halloween, or, she wants to become a man, obviously, present him as a man to the world, she will usually wear trousers to do that, because trousers are associated with men. Obviously, there isn't the same stigma, like lady in a pair of jeans is nothing, is it? A guy in a dress is sending more of a message than a woman in jeans. But trousers are more associated with men. But where's the logic here? So you're going to tell women that they're not allowed to wear something that identifies them as a woman? That's insane. These people haven't actually given it any thought, have they? They've not actually given it any thought. There's a weird thing with feminism at the moment, for a while, where it seems to be the goal of certain people, and they wrap it up with all this sophist nonsense and conspiracy theories and linguistic traps and that. But it seems to be the thing where they actually are quite misogynistic and they think men are better. And that is evidenced by that they want women to act like men. They want women, if a girl wears pants, that's okay now. If more women choose jobs that men tend to do, then we're happy then. And it's like, why do you need them to pretend to be women? And there's this big thing about giving girls dolls. That gets talked about, doesn't it, a lot? I mean, my girl's got dolls because she asked for them. She saw them and went, that's awesome. She loves her mum very much. And she sees the fact that her mum takes care of her. And she wants to emulate that. It's quite a healthy part of thing. But they always talk about giving girls dolls, don't they? As if it's going to ruin your life. Learning to care for other humans is a bad thing. But there's a weird thing there where people just accept it. And it's like, well, you're just kind of destroying parts of being a woman, aren't you? Parts of being women. It's not about removing barriers anymore. It's kind of... I can see why, they get labelled as TERFs, don't they? I can see why they're getting so angry right now. Because they're getting the same shit that men have been getting for years. Where it's just like, no, you can't be you. Surely you can be a feminist and be a mum that stays at home with the kids. And I worry about that. I worry about that with my daughter. I mean, ultimately, the happiest thing for me would be for her to be well qualified, get started in a job that she likes, and then, but also then if she meets someone and feels she wants to sit down and have a family, I want her to be happy about that and not have any hang-ups. I kind of want to make it clear to my daughter that, you know, you giving up that job to spend, as I've just done, 4 years with your kid is probably going to be the best decision you're ever going to make. Don't listen to these gender pay gap dickheads. Don't listen to these don't wear a skirt dickheads. Don't listen to them. Don't rob yourself of the most beautiful experience you could ever have. Don't do it, please. I mean, I've not told her that yet, but that I kind of want to tell her that, you know what I mean? Be free, go and explore your career, but do not worry about taking a break for kids. Do not worry about earning less over your lifetime. Life is a lot more than money. A lot more. Hell of a lot more. That's why you get some of these old feminists coming out about how miserable they are because they never had a kid, and you know your career is hollow for the most part. And here's the thing, man. I've travelled the world. I've lived my dream. I've gone backpacking. I've done all sorts of jobs that I loved. I've worked on feature films, which was my dream from being Zelda's age, from my daughter's age. We found an old book from when I was in infant school, and it literally, I want to make films. I've done that. I've been on a film set. I've felt that buzz. Not a moment of it compares to staying with kids. So it's a weird thing here, isn't it? There's a weird thing where suicides are going up. People are more and more unhappy. Maybe it's because we're robbing them of just the basic reality of their gender. I don't know. But gender neutral doesn't mean trousers. It doesn't. I mean, if you're going to instill this, just say, hey, if boys want to wear skirts, go for it. That's it. That's all you do. Sod that. My little girl loves wearing a skirt. She feels amazing. I'm jealous of her. I love the fact she's got her knees out, she's running around. She absolutely loves it. Paul's just said, afternoon, Graham. My philosophy with parenting and goals for my girls who are 8 and 5 to grow up is and to be happy is, Paul says, to understand that they're in control of their destiny and not to take crap from anyone else. It's true. It's true. I do worry though. I do worry. You know, like, here's the thing for men. This is why, you know, and this is built into us from thousands and thousands of years. You know, my brother works every hour God gives him. God, you know, sorry that phrase. I don't even believe in God, but you know, he works relentlessly so that his wife and their daughter can live in a nice house. And I know he misses her, and I know it makes him sad. And he has a job that has him up and down the country. And because of that job, he also had to move away from me when we both had kids around the same time. So we decided to live fairly close to each other. So there was that connection, and I know it rips him apart that he's away from us, and it's a thing. And we have to make an effort to bridge that gap. But we can't just pop in for a brew anymore, and that's fine. But there's also a satisfaction in that. I mean, he might do, but I think he's unlikely to kill himself because he's got something to live for. And I think the same goes for you staying at home and having a family. It is so amazing. It is the hardest. It's the best job in the world. It is. I was with Hayden yesterday, man. We were dealing with some harsh shit. I know we did that cute little video about the build, but there's a certain reality there. If we want a space that large for us to do stuff on a Thursday night, only on a Thursday night, and to have people like yourselves on the live event on November 2nd, we have to do certain things to make sure the lights stay on. You know, there's certain cold hard realities there, and it was there. It's like, right, what are we gonna do? Nothing nearly as stressful as your little girl falling over and banging her head on the radiator, and you know, nothing even close. I've never had a bad day at work that is even close to that, and I've had people literally die on me. And I was, you know, sent home and all the rest of it. But yeah, this is, guys, East Sussex school, you know, Lewis Priory and all that. You need to get a hold of yourself, man. Stop telling people what to wear. You know, we talk about the messages that are being sent. The messages that are being sent here is, as a female, you are not allowed to wear the clothes you want to wear. You are not allowed to be comfortable, happy, and feel good. Just get in line and wear what we tell you. I don't care if it's, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Moving on. Obviously. Miss Monopoly. It was trending yesterday on Twitter, and this follows on from Socialist Monopoly, which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And Socialist Monopoly was hilarious, and a lot of people are seeing this as being the kind of, oh, well, now they're trying to play with another crowd. But I would suggest that the same person that came up with Socialist Monopoly, which was a harsh critique, mocking socialism mercilessly, I think the same person who came up with that came up with this. I don't think this is trying to go woke. I don't think this is trying to play for the feminists. There's going to be a few idiot sort of like man-hating fools that buy this nonsense. But no. I think that people are realising that the woke dollar is not quite what they thought it was. They are looking over at Chick-fil-A being the most popular takeout, or whatever you call it in America. They're seeing queues out the door at Chick-fil-A. They're seeing people in Toronto stepping over the woke people, going, I just want a chicken burger, man. They're seeing that and they're thinking, do you know what? Maybe the pendulum's swinging the other way. So why don't we release Miss Monopoly? And you know what? At its core, if you're going to put a thing where all the squares are inventions by women and all that, good for you, man. Great, amazing. I prefer more of a holistic thing, which person made this, which person made that. It's not, in historic achievements and inventions are not a war. Stop pitting us against each other, man. I'm not going to hide Stephen Hawking away from my daughter because he had a willy. Well, don't you worry about what that Hawking man said. Hey, learn about the suffragettes. No, piss off. She can be inspired by anyone she wants to be inspired by. She loves unicorns. She thinks unicorns are brave. Well, good for you then. If that inspires bravery of you and being a good person, which I'm going to mention again, she got a certificate for sharing at school on the 9th. I'm very happy about that. But yeah, sod this. But if you want to do it. But here's where it comes in. Here's where this is now part of an effort to openly undermine feminism. Just like the socialism one was undermining, this is it. And here it is. The twist: in Miss Monopoly, female players will get more money. Unlike the classic game, women will collect 230 Monopoly bucks when they pass go, while male players will get the usual 200. And it says somewhere further down as well that women start with more as well. Now, undeniably, they prattled something about the gender pay gap, which is a nonsense. I now have a pay gap from my partner because I was the one that took time off work to raise the daughter. I'd be the primary care or whatever. I now have a pay gap. I had job offers that were higher than what she's on right now. We could have switched, be more wealthy, but if you've got to look at it in terms of lifetime earnings and the fact that she's an engineer, her pay is not for sure, but almost certainly going to go up at a much higher rate and more consistently than me flipping about doing films. So there's a pay gap there, but that's what they sniffed about to justify it. But what they've actually done is they've told women, you can't compete. I tell you what, you're just a girl, so let's give you a bit more money to get started with. And not only that, we'll pay you a bit more for doing the same thing. Because you're just a girl. And the message this sends is that feminists want women to get more for the same, not equality. It's undermining feminism. The same people who are going to enjoy the existence of this are the same people who are going to enjoy the socialism game as well. It's the same crowd, man. It's just, they're not going to buy this, but you know what? Whilst everyone's kicking off and going mental about socialism and Miss Monopoly and all the rest of it, they'll be pumping out limited editions of these. Enough because there'll be an interest. It's in the news. People see things, they buy it. You know, there's some mums I know who'll be all over this. Yes, she's not wearing pink. This is what I want in my house. There's a bit of pink on the corner there, but I'll just about accept that because it's part of a rainbow. But ultimately, they're not looking to sell Miss Monopoly. They're not looking to sell Monopoly for socialists. If they do, great. They're looking to sell the main Monopoly game, which ultimately, I imagine there's been a lull in sales. I imagine that we're heading towards Christmas now. We're heading towards the holiday. I imagine there's probably going to be a third edition that comes out somewhere around late October, November to bring this fuss up again. And I also imagine that the standard Monopoly, or maybe the Star Wars Monopoly or whatever, is going to be under quite a few trees this year. Because a lot of people are going to go, no, we won't bother with this weird new nonsense, this feminist nonsense. Nah, we'll play the old one though. Proper family game, that. We don't sit together anymore. So we're going to turn our phones off and we're going to play it once and then it'll go on the top of the shelves there and we'll forget about it. That's what's going to happen. That's all it is. This is phenomenal marketing. They gave three girl inventors that all had BS inventions. Well, go watch the video. Search for the videos there. They're inventing nonsense. It's just... One of them had an app ready to go. I was like, really? Are you sure? But they gave them 20 grand. It's cheap, man. It's cheap. In terms of an advertising strategy for board games, because if you're buying one, you go on Amazon right now, it'll be 3 for 2, 3 for X, whatever. They want you to buy. But you've got to buy the Hasbro ones. That's all it is. They can give 3 silly young girls 20 grand and good for them, change their life. Set them up, they're going to have a car or whatever on the back of it. It's cheap. In terms of advertising, this is cheap. So yes, the woke dollar is dying. As Hayden's just said, Gammon Monopoly. Yeah, that's what's coming in now. The Gammon Pound. Happy Dog's also just jumped in. For fuck's sake, has nobody here got a job? This is my job. And you know what? The amount I see your name, Happy Dog, the amount I see you there, hours and hours of our lives we give to you in entertainment, information, stimulating concepts, Happy Dog. The least you could do is throw us a PayPal, throw us a super chat. That's the least you could do, son. Hey, we're providing value. This is my job. I don't ask for anything up front, mate. Throw us a bit, or at the very least, buy tickets November 2nd. I accidentally gave you a little preview because I'm saying this ain't woke, man. This ain't it. This is a very clever ploy. Give women more. It's to piss people off. And ultimately, I think it's to undermine feminism, which is something I'm happy about because I don't agree with quite a lot of feminist concepts. It just portrays women as a victim, and I'm not comfortable with that. But here we go. This is legitimate wokeness. Legitimate. Sky News here as well, so you know it's a reasonable source. They do provide information. You're fired. Outdated. Fireman Sam dropped for not being inclusive. He says the children's TV character is outdated and should be renamed Firefighter Sam. Now, here's my take on this little bad boy here. Fireman Sam does not drink, does not smoke, he doesn't use abusive language, he doesn't treat women or minorities or anyone in any kind of disrespectful manner. In terms of ticking every single diversity box, he is phenomenal. He is as inclusive as you could possibly imagine. He's a kid's TV character. You don't get better than this nonsense. Look at him there. He's not inclusive. I'll tell you why he's not inclusive. Because even though he is a phenomenal role model, he's part of the community. He literally saves lives. Although obviously not directly, but that's what firemen do, isn't it? His crime against inclusivity is he has a penis, which blows my mind. As I said earlier, obviously I'm keeping my daughter away from the likes of Stephen Hawking. You know, I'm not letting her near any of that nonsense. Dara O'Brien, with his science, oh, that's all well and good, but he's got a penis and he's white. So no. They've already changed the rules with these people, so they're letting women join, which is ridiculous. Come on, man. Come on. Firemen, for years, for decades, it was quite literally the ultimate symbol, more so than the police, way more so than the police. It was the ultimate symbol of like the very best a man could be. Quite literally. Strong, calm. When everyone else is running away, they're running towards the problem. And they are rescuing people, regardless of the colour of the skin, regardless of who you are. Even if you're a paedophile, they are running in there and they are pulling you out of that and they are making sure that you're safe. To the detriment of their own lives. I mean, today's 9/11. How many firemen died on 9/11? Because they kept going in. You can't have a greater role model. And this goes for men and women. If my daughter looks up to firemen, I'm a happy man. If my daughter thinks that Fireman Sam, which would then evolve to actual real firemen, if she has them as a hero, I am a happy man. Because what better example could you possibly have? We're literally at the point now, he's white and he's got a penis. That's the problem. Let's have a look. Explaining the decision, Mr. Britson told ITV's Good Morning, the character itself is outdated. The programme itself is probably fairly up to date. Oh, so they've updated the programme? I don't know. When I've watched a lot of these shows, they've thrown in all sorts of stuff. And good, great, move with the times, whatever. I think the producers would probably get more fire and rescue services wanting to use the character and the programme if they brought themselves up to date. Well, what is up to date? We're trying to save people's lives here, not be politically correct. The reason more women don't want to be firefighters is because of images like Fireman Sam. Or maybe they've just got sense enough to walk in there, see the size of these living tree-like men, and go, maybe this isn't the job for me. In England, 5.2% of firefighters are women. I would argue that's possibly too many. According to local... I'm sorry, but yeah, it's a physical job. I'm not going to get hired. I wouldn't approve of most men. Let's be clear on this. Almost all women and almost all men are not appropriate for the fire service. Sorry, they're not. Not in terms of getting on that truck and going there. No. It requires physical fitness and endurance. Something that in almost all circumstances you're not going to get with women. And I would be amazed. I mean, well, 5.2%. How many good men were turned... But, we talk about deaths. How many people have died? Because, I don't know. According to a local news, the fire service received negative feedback after featuring Fireman Sam. From who? Sod off. It shouldn't be political. I mean, look at this. Please can you ensure when you're designing posters that Fireman Sam is not used and a more inclusive image? Well, let's get to it. What is more inclusive? Are you going to let us know? Girls think they can't be firefighters because children's TV continues to use outdated language. It's top, isn't it? Man, penis, wrong, evil. But we're not getting the bloody suffragettes, are we? And getting representative of the suffragettes and going, well, where's the men? Where's the suffragists? The bigger movement was the men and women that were promoting that. There was a lot of dudes that were asking for votes for women. You never see that, though, do you? You never see people complaining about the outdated thing. There's a thing in my daughter's school. Big thing right there when you walk in. Votes for women. In the very city where votes for men were won. In the very city where the Guardian was formed. Where labour unions were formed. In the very city where people died for the right for ordinary men to vote. 98% of the country we're talking about here. Right here, their history. Ignored. I don't see a Sky News article about all that though, do I? Weird, isn't it? Weird. These people are insane, man. These people are insane. I'm going to start demanding that Alien be re-edited to make Ripley look more gender ambiguous. Because you know what? It offends me that they're going to make out that the woman would do so many things. Saving the cat. Saving the cat? What kind of ridiculous gender stereotype is that? Disgusting. It needs to be fixed. We can't look up to anyone. Sod yous. Sod the lot of yous. Ridiculous. Fucking fireman. Fireman! Right. I'm going to talk about this really quick because this was trending. Former Beatle, as he's now being described by the BBC. This tiny snippet. I'm going to read it to you here. I'm not going to play it. Ringo Starr says, "The people voted and they have to get on with it." That's not unreasonable. You had the vote. This is what won. Let's get on with it. Okay. I would have voted for Brexit because it's a great move. To be in control of your own country is a great move. That's what Ringo Starr said. So now he's cancelled. Rightly so as well. He's obviously a big, dirty racist, isn't he? He's... And you know what? He's a white man as well. He's white. Obviously. He's done. Cancelled. Out. Finished. Sorry, mate. I would have voted for Brexit. It's a great move. Twitter went off their head about this. Spinning. Literally spinning. You can't handle it. How dare you? Oh, God. Bring on the next election, please. Please. Do you know what I want? Do you remember when Trump got elected and we use it in the credits for Thursday's show? And that girl in the yellow with the hat going, "No!" For someone to say something as something as calm and reasonable and this is middle of the road, man. This isn't I hate brown people. This isn't like, this is just like, yeah, Brexit won, so we should probably do it now. And there's the reason why it won. He's not shitting on immigrants. He's not doing anything. Oh my God. He's evil. Bring on the next election. And I'm going to be out there with my cat. Oh, God, no, no, I'm not. Because I want to do an all-night special with Aiden. That'd be so much fun. Or at least we can go live at 10 when the thingies go, can't we? And then maybe we could do a morning special, 8 in the morning, something like that. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Bit of a nighttime one. Get home, no sleep, morning. Awesome. Ringo the Gammon, I know. Yeah. Happy Dogs just pointed out actually that the Scottish courts have ruled the proroguing as illegal. Yeah, but what they're going to do? What are they going to do?
You don't like that vote.
Do you know what? I don't think Boris minds at all with all that. Speaking of Boris, last story of the day. Oh, we've already gone over. This has been possibly my favourite photo of the year so far. Whilst everyone's been going on about, sending him to prison for trying to actually implement Brexit, he's been touring and making a complete tit out of himself, as always. But, that's the same thing that's got him the highest approval rating. More people want him to be the Prime Minister than anyone else in this country right now. Don't forget that. Don't forget reality. Don't forget the facts on the ground in this. He is, as the hashtag says, the people's Prime Minister. He's got more support than anyone, despite what Twitter might lead you to believe. So he's doing what he always does, going around making an absolute tit of himself. I mean, he knows that wrangling a bull is going to look ridiculous. But what got me with this was not Boris the tit, Boris the thing. For me, on an artistic level, this sums up everything that's wrong with the Conservatives right now. Everything that's been wrong for the Conservatives for a very, very long time. And it's the comparison, in my eyes, to this picture. The bull on Wall Street that represents the economy. Someone dumped it there after the crash. I'm not going to get the details. You can look it up yourself. It represented people fighting through the crash, fighting through the hard times. It's come to represent capitalism. It's come to represent the free market. the unstoppable juggernaut, the movement of it. There's a lot going on there. I'd highly recommend you reading up on the bull of the Wall Street Bull. It's very, very interesting. I like it. But and then obviously someone's put this. This is very apt, isn't it? Standing up to free markets, socialism for you right there, isn't it? Childlike in its perspective of its world, weak, unnecessarily confident, because that kid's about to die, but obviously the hands are on the hips there, aren't they? Standing defiant. This is a phenomenal thing. And here's the thing, man. People often, when I talk about capitalism and free markets, I'm a great believer in that from the point of view of property rights and allowing as much individual freedom as is possible. Something that we're not even close to in this country or even in America. America's downturn was when it started saying goodbye to individual freedom, when it started moving further away from laissez-faire. That's when standard of living went down, but let's not get into the time. My perspective on capitalism, because I know some people just hear big, money bags standing over a sweatshop going, that's not what I'm into, baby. I'm into property rights. I'm into the protection of individual property, which includes you and your time. That's what I'm into. So that doesn't include sweatshops. Certainly doesn't. And you can't, I'm not getting into that right now. But anyway, so if we get this, because I get a lot of comments when I talk about capitalism, like, oh, put your blue rosette on, oh, when did you join the Tories and all that? And here's the issue, man. Labour have Labour and the sort of Marxism nonsense around it have positioned Labour as socialists, which a lot of them are. It's a bit weird. They're not all socialists, certainly not, but there's a weird alliance there, against the capitalists. And it almost disgusts me that the Conservative Party, if you're in America, this is the Republicans, Conservative Republicans. It's the same things. Almost, anyways. Very different parties, but that's right side. They then say, well, we're the socialists and they're the capitalists. And I don't believe it, man. And I think for me, this photo really hit home, because for me, this really, there's the economy, there's the free market, there's choice. And what are the Conservatives trying to do? They're trying to rein it in, because they're just basically soft-ass versions. They're just weird, soft versions of leftists, because they're going for the woke vote. Because for a long time, that did work. Let's be honest. Tony Blair didn't get elected in a vacuum. That's where we were. And that's where the Conservatives are right now. Constantly passing laws that restrict people's freedom of speech. Constantly getting in all over people's business. It's disgusting, man. More regulation, more... I can't even handle it, in terms of the attitude that they have. They're just a bunch of greedy assholes. And this is, again, why this picture really, really took me. I was looking at it for a long time, because here is capitalism and here is the free markets, individual freedom, which always leads to everyone thriving. The entirety, you're still going to get a few bums here and there. Of course you are. People that don't want to take responsibility for themselves. But it always leads to the poorest of us being lifted up too. Always individual freedom. It's the only way to do it. But these scummy bastards who are just putting money into their friends' pockets relentlessly over and over again, they are. And that's what this feels like to me here. They've got that, they've got it by the head, and they're just pulling it this way. They can't. If that thing wants to pull them, he's going to yank him miles from here. Of course he can. But look at that. No horns. Mouth closed. Silenced. So yeah, when you accuse me of being a conservative, and I say, fuck the Conservatives, think about this picture. Have a little think about that, because that's kind of my perspective on things, man. That's how I feel about it, I'm certainly not in with the Conservatives, man. I hate them slightly less than I do Labour right now. That is certainly not an endorsement. Certainly not. Right, guys, that's me for today. These shows are only supposed to be half hour. I've not even got onto the bloody Russian votes. Hayden, mate, we need to talk about this on Thursday. Countless videos of People stuffing multiple ballots in. It's scary. Scary. But yeah. Oh, here we go. King BB. I'm not going to go into all that right now. Hello, Sidewalk Closed. Good to have you, man. What's the man behind the bull doing? All the rest of it. The man's leg. Blah, 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 blah. Guys, thank you so much for your comments. I've really got to go because I'm trying to keep this video short. The idea is they're half an hour. If you know it's half an hour, then you kind of know what you're getting in terms of a daily. You can put half an hour aside to, whilst you're doing the dishes or whatever. Hopefully I can get the language in check. So if you're getting your kids dressed in the morning, you can listen to my ass. But I'm not quite there yet. But I'm working on it. I'm growing. We're all growing. We can grow together. Guys, I love you loads. I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.